Welcome to our deep dive into the fascinating world of ambient, power-enabled Internet of Things. We're about to embark on a journey through the 3GPP's latest technical specification, 3GPP TR22.840, where we'll explore how tiny devices can harness the power of their environment to connect and communicate. Buckle up, because we're about to make the invisible visible and the impossible possible. Our journey will take us through bustling warehouses, high-tech medical facilities, sprawling smart grids, and even in your living room. We'll explore how these tiny technological marvels are revolutionizing industries and making our lives easier, one ambient powered bit at a time. So sit back, relax, and prepare to have your minds blown by the power of the imperceptible. This document, dear friends, is the brainchild of the brilliant minds at 3GPP. It's like the holy grail for ambient, power-enabled IoT devices, laying the groundwork for a future where every speck of dust could potentially be a smart device. Technically speaking, this specification delves into the intricate details of how these devices can operate using energy harvested from their environment, be it radio waves, light, heat, or even the vibrations from your neighbor's overly enthusiastic karaoke sessions. We're talking about devices that could potentially outlive us all, operating for decades without ever needing a battery change. It's the stuff of science fiction, except it's happening right now. The scope of this study is ambitious, to say the least. We're exploring the frontier of what's possible with IoT devices that can operate with little to no battery power. This isn't just about making our current devices more efficient. It's about enabling entirely new categories of devices that were previously impractical or impossible. From industrial automation to healthcare, from smart cities to environmental monitoring, the potential applications are vast. But with great potential comes great challenges. We're pushing the boundaries of ultra-low power operation, dealing with the realities of intermittent connectivity, and tackling security concerns in a world where every dust particle could potentially be a smart sensor. This document sets the stage for future standards that would define energy harvesting protocols, establish new paradigms for efficient communication, and ensure our burgeoning ambient IoT ecosystem is as secure as it is innovative. Let's break down some key terms that will form the foundation of our discussion. Ambient IoT refers to IoT devices that are powered by energy harvesting, operating either without batteries or with very limited energy storage. These devices are the ultimate set it and forget it technology, designed for maintenance-free operation over extremely long periods. Energy harvesting is the secret sauce, capturing ambient energy from the environment. We're talking about photovoltaic cells that can work with the faintest indoor light, thermoelectric generators that thrive on tiny temperature differentials, and RF harvesters that can pluck power out of thin air. The power levels we're dealing with are minuscule, typically in the microwatt to milliwatt range, which necessitates extreme power management techniques. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible with ultra-low power circuits, employing sophisticated sleep modes and duty cycling, and developing adaptive systems that can modulate their power consumption based on available energy. In terms of communication, we're looking at a mix of technologies, from low-power wide-area networks for long-range, low-bandwidth applications to short-range technologies like BLE and UWB for more data-intensive, localized use cases. By the way, BLE stands for Bluetooth Low Energy, and UWB stands for Ultra Wideband. BLE and UWB, for those who may not be entirely familiar, they're both wireless communication technologies, but they have different characteristics and applications. Very briefly, BLE is sort of a wireless personal area network technology, mainly designed for short-range communication with very low power consumption. The range is typically up to 100 meters, 1 to 2 megabits per second data rate. Again, very low power consumption and widely adopted already in smartphones, wearables, and IoT devices. They're used in applications like fitness trackers, smartphone devices, and beacons. For UWB, ultra-wideband, it's a short-range, high-bandwidth wireless communication technology. The range can be up to 10 meters. Data rate can exceed 1 gigabits per second, very precise spatial awareness and location tracking. Again, low power consumption, although generally higher than BLE. This one is more resistant to interference than BLE. It's used for applications like precise indoor positioning, secure access systems, and high-speed data transfer between devices. So the main differences lie in their range, data rates, and primary applications. Okay, just a little introduction for the BLE and UWB. Let's now step into the warehouse of the future. Here, ambient IoT devices are revolutionizing every stage of operations, from the moment a truck arrives at the loading dock to the second a product leaves for delivery. These tiny self-powered sensors are attached to individual items, pallets, storage racks, and even the forklifts themselves. The beauty of this system lies in its flexibility. We have manual triggered inventory modes for when operators need to initiate checks, and auto-triggered modes that kick in automatically when new items are detected. This real-time inventory capability isn't just about knowing what's in stock. It's about optimizing space utilization, automating reordering processes, and even preventing theft. But let's not gloss over the technical challenges too much at this moment. We're dealing with an incredibly high density of deployment. In a bustling warehouse, we might have thousands of these devices in close proximity, all trying to communicate. This raises significant challenges in terms of interference management and secure data transmission. We need to develop sophisticated protocols for collision avoidance and data prioritization. Moreover, integrating this new layer of intelligence with existing warehouse management systems is no small feat. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how warehouses operate, driven by the ubiquitous presence of these ambient-powered sensors. All right, now let's scrub in and take a look at the high-stakes world of healthcare. In hospitals and clinics, keeping track of medical instruments is more crucial than remembering where you left your car keys. It's all about patient safety, operating efficiency, and making sure the regulators don't have a cardiac arrest. Enter our tiny heroes, ambient IoT devices. These little marvels are about to perform a miracle operation on hospital logistics. Again, picture this. We slap these battery-less wonders on everything from scalpels to stethoscopes, and even those oh-so-comfy hospital beds. These devices are like the hospital's own team of miniature detectives. They're not just tracking location, they're keeping a diary of who used what, when, and where. They're even tattle to the staff when it's time for a bath, sterilization that is, and predict when maintenance is due. Talk about backseat drivers for healthcare. Now here's the real magic. These little troopers have a longer lifespan than most hospital jello. Once installed, they'll keep working for years without needing a coffee break or a battery change. It's like having interns that never graduate or ask for a raise. Isn't that nice? With 5G networks in the mix, we're entering a new era of Where's Waldo, but for medical equipment. We're talking about centimeter level accuracy. In an emergency, this could be the difference between quickly finding a critical piece of equipment and playing an ill-timed game of hide and seek. But let's not get too starry-eyed. Hospitals are like a nightclub for radio frequencies, lots of noise and interference. Our ambient IoT devices need to be the cool cucumbers in this chaotic salad, maintaining their cool and their communications. And let's not forget about data privacy. These devices need to keep secrets better than a therapist with laryngitis. We're talking Fort Knox level encryption and access control. Last but not least, these gadgets need to survive sterilization processes. It's like designing a submarine that can also withstand a trip through a car wash. No pressure, right? So there you have it. Ambient IoT in healthcare, making hospitals smarter, safer, and slightly more entertaining for the tech-savvy medical professionals. Ambient IoT and smart grid substations. Let's light up this discussion about the power grid of the future. And I promise the puns will be kept to a minimum voltage. Imagine a substation where every transformer, power line, and circuit breaker is decked out with self-powered sensors. It's like giving the entire grid a fitness tracker, minus the step count, of course. These clever little devices are the ultimate multitaskers. They're checking equipment temperature, hot enough to fry an egg, oil levels in transformers, no, not the movie kind, and even listening for suspicious vibrations that might indicate a component is about to throw in the towel. They're basically, shall I say, the helicopter parents of the powered grid. Now here's what it gets really exciting, or should I say electrifying. When we start crunching all this data, it's like giving the grid a crystal ball. We can predict failures before they happen, optimize power flow in real time, and respond to anomalies faster than you can say blackout. But again, let's not get too starry-eyed. We're facing some pretty hefty technical challenges. These devices need to be tougher than a $2 steak. We're talking about environments with enough electromagnetic interference to make your hair stand on end, temperatures that swing from polar vortex to desert heat wave, and exposure to elements that would make most electrons curl up and cry. The energy harvesting aspect is particularly intriguing. Can we power our devices using the very fields we're monitoring? It's like asking the grid to power the devices that they are keeping an eye on it. Talk about a chicken and egg situation. Security is another biggie. These sensors are part of critical infrastructure. So they need to be, again, I like this term, Fort Knox level secure. We're not just talking about garden variety encryption. We need these devices to be tougher to crack than a secret agent's poker face. And let's not forget the challenge of integrating this new IoT layer with existing SCADA systems. It's like trying to teach your grandmother's rotary phone to work with your smartphone system. We are bridging two worlds, the centralized control systems, or yesteryear with the AI-driven distributed grid of tomorrow. SCADA systems, SCADA, in case for those who may not be too familiar, SCADA really just stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. These are computer-based systems used to monitor and control industrial processes and infrastructure. So there you have it again, the power grid of the future. Smarter, more efficient, and with just a touch of IoT magic. Who knew electricity could be this exciting? Here's an image that illustrates the typical power distribution network from generation to end user consumption. Let us walk through some of the key components and processes, although it's pretty simple, but I'll go quickly for these pictures. From left to right, power generation on the left, we see various methods of power generation, including traditional power plants, wind turbines, and solar panels. This represents the diverse sources of electricity production in modern grids. Transmission network. The electricity generated is then sent through high voltage transmission lines, represented by large pylons. These lines efficiently transport electricity over long distances. Substation. The power that reaches a substation where voltage is stepped down for distribution to local areas. This is a critical point for managing power flow and quality. Primary distribution network. From the substation, power is distributed through a network of medium voltage lines to various areas, including industrial zones and residential neighborhoods. Industrial consumption. Some large industrial consumers may connect directly to the primary distribution network due to their high power requirements. Transformation center. For most end users, the power goes through another step-down transformation to lower the voltage further for safe use in homes and businesses. Secondary distribution network. This final network delivers power at the appropriate voltage to individual buildings and homes. Finally, the end consumers. The image shows various types of end users, including residential buildings, offices, and small industrial facilities. In the context of ambient power-enabled IoT, as described in this 3GPP document, this infrastructure presents both challenges and opportunities. The power grid's ubiquity makes it an ideal candidate for powering widespread IoT devices. However, the complexity of the network also highlights the need for careful integration of IoT devices to ensure that they can harvest power efficiently without disrupting the grid's primary function. The potential of IoT devices to harvest ambient energy from various points in this network, from electromagnetic fields around transmission lines to waste heat in substations, could revolutionize how we power the Internet of Things. This approach could lead to more sustainable and pervasive IoT deployments, reducing the need for battery replacements and enabling devices in locations where traditional power sources are impractical. We have more images here. This slide illustrates various components of smart grid infrastructure and highlights potential use cases for ambient IoT in all of these environments. So let's do a quick walkthrough. Outdoor ultra-high voltage substation. These images show large transformers and equipment in an outdoor setting. In smart grids, these substations play a crucial role in voltage transformation and power distribution. On the spec, it mentions that poor contact can cause faulty service, which is where ambient IoT sensors could be beneficial. These sensors could monitor connections, temperature, and other vital parameters without needing wired power sources, improving reliability and reducing maintenance costs. Underground transmission and distribution lines. The images depict underground cable installations. These are critical for urban power distribution, but face unique challenges. The 3GPP spec mentions issues like cable damage from rats or faulty drainage systems. Ambient IoT sensors could be deployed along these lines to detect moisture, temperature changes, or physical disturbances, potentially preventing costly failures and service interruptions. Next, take a look at these indoor-outdoor shielding cabinet. These images show various electrical cabinets and control panels. They indicate that what did the document say? The document say something in the realm of poor wire connections could lead to short circuits or even fires. Ambient IoT devices could be installed inside these cabinets to monitor heat, vibration, or electrical anomalies. By harvesting power from the electromagnetic fields naturally present in the environments, these sensors could operate continuously without battery changes. Aerial transmission and distribution lines. The final set of images show power lines and transmission towers. There are issues like cable vibration, displacement, and difficulty of powering sensors in those remote locations. Ambient IoT solutions are particularly valuable here. Sensors could harvest energy from the electromagnetic field surrounding the power lines to monitor line sway, ice buildup, or conductor temperature, all without needing separate power sources or frequent maintenance. In the context of this document, of this 3GPP document, these use cases demonstrate the potential of ambient power-enabled IoT in smart grid applications. And there are many of them. By leveraging energy harvesting techniques, IoT devices can be deployed throughout the power distribution network from substations to transmission lines, enhancing monitoring capabilities and grid reliability. Okay, attention logistics lovers. We are about to embark on a whimsical journey into the world of non-public networks, NPNs in short, in logistics. Again, picture this. 5G network that is dedicated to tracking your goods as a hound dog on a sand trail, but with way better security and a much cooler name. How would you like that? Enter our tiny heroes, ambient IoT devices. Once again, come into the picture to save the date. Save the day. These pint-sized powerhouses are like the James Bonds of the logistics world. Small, sophisticated, and self-powered. They're not just tracking where your stuff is, they're also playing weatherman, keeping tabs on temperature and humidity. And the best part? They're energy vampires, but in a good way. They suck up RF energy like it's a logistics smoothie, allowing them to work their magic in places where plugging in is about as likely as finding a unicorn in your warehouse. Now, let's talk about the technical challenges, because who doesn't love a good brain teaser, right? Imagine a warehouse that's like a really intense cocktail party. Thousands of tagged items all trying to chat at once. Our job is to be the world's best party host, managing the chatter without letting anyone feel left out. We're juggling interference like a circus performer, ensuring our devices can keep chatting even when they're running on fumes, and mastering the art of the smooth transition as goods move between different network environments. And speaking of smooth moves, how do we handle the handover when a shipment goes from the cozy, non-public network in a warehouse to the wild west of public networks during transportation? It's like teaching your homeschooled kid to navigate public school. Tricky, but necessary. Last but not least, we're pushing 5G network slicing and edge computing to their limits. We're not just thinking outside the box, we are redesigning the whole darn box to create a logistics ecosystem that is so efficient, transparent, and responsive. It'll make your head spin, in a good way, of course. So this is the weird and wonderful world of non-public networks in logistics. It's like regular logistics, but with a 5G turbo boost and a sprinkling of IoT fairy dust. Here we have an image that illustrates the concept of ambient IoT in a non-public network for logistics. Let's take a look at the different elements on this image. First of all is the public network services, Genome B. On the left, we see a tower representing the public 5G network base station, Genome B. This symbolizes the connection to the wider cellular network infrastructure. Non-public network, NPN Genome B. Inside the main frame, we see another tower representing a non-public network, Genome B. This is a private 5G network deployed specifically for the logistics operation, providing dedicated coverage and capacity. Edge computing infrastructure below the non-public network Genome B, we see symbols representing various edge networking resources: servers, databases, computing units, and network equipment. This local compute infrastructure enables low latency processing and data storage for the IoT devices. And we have the logistics area. The right side of the image shows the logistics area, likely a warehouse or shipping yard with various containers and vehicles. The yellow dots scattered across the logistics area represent passive IoT devices. These could be sensors on containers, pallets, or other assets that don't have their own power source. The red arrow emanating from the non-public network Genome B represents the ambient RF, radio frequency, power being transmitted. This is a key concept in ambient IoT, where devices harvest energy from existing RF signals. Some devices in the logistics area are labeled as ambient IoT devices. These are capable of harvesting energy from the ambient RF signals to power their operations. In the context of the 3GPP document, this image demonstrates several important aspects of ambient IoT in logistics. Number one is its integration with 5G networks. It can harvest energy. It makes use of edge computing. And the large number of devices shown here indicates the potential of widespread deployment of sensors and trackers in logistics operations, so scalability is being considered as well. Asset tracking, where you have the placement of devices and containers and throughout the logistics area, which suggests applications in inventory management and asset tracking. So this use case highlights the potential of ambient IoT to revolutionize logistics operations by enabling ubiquitous sensing and tracking without the limitations of battery life or wired power. It demonstrates how existing RF infrastructure can be dual-purposed for both communication and power delivery, creating a more efficient and sustainable IoT ecosystem in industrial settings. Let's now shift gears and look at how ambient IoT is revolutionizing the automotive manufacturing process. In the high-stakes world of auto production, where a minute of downtime can cost thousands, the precision and efficiency offered by ambient IoT devices are game changers. Imagine a factory floor where every component, every tool, every autonomous guided vehicle, AGV, is equipped with a tiny self-powered sensor. These devices create a real-time digital twin of the entire production process. We're not just tracking inventory, we're optimizing material flows, predicting maintenance needs, and ensuring just-in-time delivery to production lines. But the technical challenges here are significant. We're dealing with a harsh industrial environment, lots of metal, electromagnetic interference, and potential for physical damage. Our ambient IoT devices need to be robust enough to withstand all these conditions while still operating on harvested energy. The positioning requirements are particularly demanding. In a busy factory, we need centimeter-level accuracy to ensure robots and AGVs can navigate safely and efficiently. This likely means combining multiple positioning technologies, perhaps ultra-wideband for short range, high-precision tracking combined with other methods for broader coverage. Data management is another key consideration. With thousands of sensors sending continuous streams of data, we need edge computing solutions to process and act on this information in real time. We can't afford the latency of sending everything to a central cloud, of course. Moreover, integrating this new layer of IoT intelligence with existing manufacturing execution systems, MES in short, and enterprise resource planning, ERP in short, systems is a complex challenge. We're talking about bridging the gap between the physical world of production and the digital world of enterprise management. But the potential benefits are enormous. Increased productivity, reduced waste, improved quality control, and the ability to rapidly reconfigure production lines for new models or customized production runs. This use case really showcases how ambient IoT can be the foundational technology for the much-touted Industry 4.0 revolution. Next, let's bring ambient IoT into our homes. The smartphone market has been growing for years, but it's been held back by the hassle of changing batteries and the complexity of installation. Ambient IoT sensors change this paradigm entirely. Imagine sensors that you can stick anywhere in your home and then forget about it. No batteries to change, no wires to hide. These devices can monitor everything from room temperature and humidity to air quality and potential gas leaks. The energy harvesting techniques here are particularly interesting. In a home environment, we have a variety of energy sources to tap into. Photovoltaic cells can harvest energy from both natural and artificial light. Thermoelectric generators can take advantage of temperature differentials near windows or HVAC vents. We can even harvest energy from the vibrations of household appliances or the RF signals from Wi-Fi routers. The applications are vast. A gas sensor in the kitchen could detect leaks and automatically shut off the gas supply. Smart thermometers can create more granular temperature zones without the need for complex wiring. Water leak detectors can be placed in hard-to-reach areas without worrying about battery life. But the technical challenges are also significant. How do we ensure reliable communication when energy availability might be intermittent? How do we design ultra-low power wireless protocols that can still provide the responsiveness needed for critical applications like smoke detection? Security and privacy are also major concerns in the home environment. These devices will be privy to intimate details of our daily lives, so robust encryption and access control are essential. Integration with existing smart home ecosystems is another hurdle. How do we ensure that our ambient IoT devices can play nice with Alexa, Google Home, or Apple HomeKit? Despite all these challenges, the potential of ambient IoT in smart homes is enormous. It could be the key to making smart home technology truly ubiquitous and user-friendly. Airports and shipping ports are logistical marvels, handling vast numbers of people and goods every day. They are also perfect candidates for ambient IoT deployment. In these environments, we need to track assets across large areas, both indoors and outdoors, often in challenging RF environments. Imagine ambient IoT tags on every piece of luggage, every cargo container, every ground support vehicle. These self-powered sensors could revolutionize how we manage these complex operations. The technical challenges here are fascinating as well. We need to support a mix of indoor and outdoor environments, each with its own characteristics. Indoors, we might use ultra-wideband for centimeter level positioning accuracy. Outdoors, we might combine GPS with other technologies for robust tracking. We need to handle transitions between these environments seamlessly. The mobility aspect is crucial. We are tracking objects that might be stationary for hours. Just 1 minute. Let me lower the voice here. Where were we? We need to handle transitions between these environments in a seamless way. The mobility aspect is crucial, for sure. We are tracking objects that might be stationary for hours, then suddenly move at high speed on a conveyor belt or vehicle. Our communication protocols need to adapt to these changing conditions. The scale of deployment is another major consideration. In a busy airport or port, we might have millions of tagged items all needing to communicate. This requires sophisticated approaches to spectrum management and data aggregation. Edge computing becomes critical here. We need to process and act on data locally to avoid overwhelming centralized systems. Security is paramount in these environments. Our ambient IoT system needs to integrate with existing security infrastructure, providing an additional layer of protection against theft and smuggling. But the potential benefits are again enormous. Real-time tracking could virtually eliminate lost luggage. Predictive analytics could optimize the flow of people and goods, reducing delays. Environmental sensors could monitor air quality and noise levels, improving the experience for travelers and workers alike. So, this use case really showcases the potential of ambient IoT to transform large-scale, complex operations. Okay, I want you to picture this again. A world where your keys, wallets, and even Fluffy the cat never play hide and seek without your permission. Welcome to the magical realm of ambient IoT for remote item finding. It's like having a personal detective agency minus the trench coats and magnifying glasses. Our star players? Tiny battery-less techs that are basically the marathon runners of the IoT world. These little champs harvest energy like squirrels hoarding nuts, allowing them to keep on ticking for years without so much as a battery change. Talk about load maintenance. Now let's dive into the technical challenges. First up, we need to perfect the art of the IoT power nap. Our techs need to master the ability to snooze like a teenager on a Saturday morning, only to spring into action faster than you can say, "Where's my wallet?" when duty calls. Communication-wise, we're going full-on social network. These techs will be the ultimate social butterflies, chatting up nearby smartphones and devices to relay their location. It's like a game of high-tech telephone, but way more useful. Of course, we can't forget about privacy and security. We're not trying to create a stalker's paradise here. Only the rightful owner gets to play Marco Polo with their belongings. And don't worry, your item's location data will be more incognito than a spy in a crowd. For positioning, we're mixing and matching like a fashion guru. GPS for the great outdoors, and for indoors, we are throwing ultra-wideband Wi-Fi and cellular triangulation into a location smoothie. It's all about precision, baby. Power management is our Everest. We're walking a tightrope between keeping our techs chatty and respecting their limited energy diet. It's like trying to run a marathon on a single energy bar. Challenging, but not impossible. In essence, we're pushing ambient IoT to solve everyday problems in ways that will make you wonder how you ever lived without it. Lost items? Soon they'll be as outdated as floppy disks and dial-up internet. Welcome to the future, where everything has a homing beacon. Not bacon, beacon, pardon me. All right. Here's another image. This image illustrates a remote tag finding service using ambient IoT devices and surrounding UE's RAN radio access network entities. Let's take a quick look. Ambient powered IoT devices owned by Alice on the left. You see a small device with a question mark representing an ambient IoT device. This device belongs to Alice and is powered by ambient energy like RF energy from nearby cellular networks or other sources. Next to the ambient IoT device, there's a smartphone labeled as UE owned by Bob. This represents a standard cellular device that happens to be in proximity to Alice, the ambient IoT device. In the center there, we see a cellular tower representing the Geno B, which is part of the 5G network infrastructure. To the right of the Geno B, there's a server icon labeled Lost Tag Finding Server. This is a back-end system that processes information to locate lost devices. On the far right, We see another smartphone labeled UE owned by Alice, along with Alice herself, looking confused or searching for something. The process illustrated here can be described as follows. Alice lost her ambient IoT device, for example, a smart tag attached to her keys or wallet. The lost ambient IoT device, despite not having its own power source, can still transmit periodic beacons using harvested ambient energy. Bob's UE, which happens to be nearby, picks up the beacon signal from Alice's lost device. Bob's UE relays this information through the cellular network, GNOB, to the lost tag finding server. The server processes the information and notifies Alice through her UE about the approximate location of her lost device. So this use case demonstrates several key aspects of ambient IoT devices. Energy harvesting, crowdsourced assistance, privacy considerations, network integration, low power communication. This is another scenario that showcases how ambient IoT can enable new services that were previously impractical due to power constraints. It also highlights the potential for creating vast networks of low-power devices that can interact with standard consumer electronics and existing network infrastructure to provide valuable services. LCS for Ambient IoT. LCS happens to stand for Location Services. Location services refer to a set of functions that determine the geographic position of devices or objects. When applied to ambient IoT, LCS involves technologies and methods used to locate and track IoT devices within a certain environment or area. The pet tracking scenario is a perfect example for the potential described here. Imagine a small, lightweight tag that can be attached to a pet's collar, powered entirely by the pet's movement or body heat. This tag needs to provide accurate location data, potentially over long ranges, while consuming minimal power. The technical challenges are significant. We need to develop ultra-low power GNSS receivers that can get a quick fix without draining the limited energy reserves. We're also looking at network-based positioning methods like OTDOA, which stands for Observed Time Differences of Arrival, and UTDOA, which stands for Uplink Time Differences of Arrival, which offload some of the computational burden to the network. The integration with existing LCS platforms is also crucial. We need to ensure that our ambient IoT devices can seamlessly interact with current location services, providing consistent data formats and APIs. The potential applications actually go far beyond pet tracking. This technology could be used for asset tracking in logistics, monitoring of wildlife in conservation efforts, or even personal safety devices. The key is balancing accuracy, update frequency, and power consumption to provide useful location data within the strict energy constraints of ambient IoT devices. We have a picture here describing another use case, BSMR, which stands for Base Station Machine Room. This image illustrates the application of ambient IoT devices in a cellular network base station environment. Let me go quickly. Sometimes these slide decks are way too long, but I already condensed it shorter as it perhaps need to be. All the information here are key points from the 3GPP specification. So cutting any corners would not be doing it justice. So If you have time and interest, please stay with me. Let's take a look at this picture quickly. On the left, we see a detailed view of the base station's machine room. This contains various pieces of telecommunications equipment, each marked with small green icons representing ambient IoT sensors. These sensors are likely monitoring parameters such as temperature, humidity, power consumption, and equipment status. The main part of the image shows a schematic of the base station building. It includes a baseband unit cabinet room, BBU cabinet room. This houses the baseband units, BBUs, which process the cellular signals. As ambient IoT sensors shown here monitoring the cabinet environment. We see a power unit. This provides power to the base station equipment. There's also a backup power source for the station, that is the battery. AC unit to maintain optimal operating temperatures. Shown as small yellow icons there throughout the building, those are ambient IoT sensors used to monitor various aspects of the base station environment. On the right, we see a cell tower connected to the base station via fiber optic cable. This represents the radio transmission part of the cellular network. At the top right, there's an icon representing a supervision platform or monitoring system. This is where all the data from the ambient IoT sensors is collected and analyzed. So the key points to emphasize about this particular use case is that the ambient IoT sensors are placed throughout the base station, enabling comprehensive monitoring of all critical systems and environmental conditions. These sensors likely harvest energy from the electromagnetic fields naturally present in the base station environment, eliminating the need for batteries or wired power. It's quite magical. By continuously monitoring equipment status and environmental conditions, operators can predict and prevent failures before they occur, improving network reliability. The use of wireless self-powered sensors reduces installation and maintenance costs compared to traditional wired monitoring systems. So there's a great cost efficiency here. This approach can be easily scaled across thousands of base stations in our cellular network, providing consistent monitoring capabilities. Scalability is easily implemented. The connection to a supervision platform allows for real-time monitoring and alerts, enabling quick responses to any issues. So you're getting real-time insights in this configuration. By using ambient energy, this solution reduces the need for battery replacements, lowering the environmental impact of widespread sensor deployment. So this is another very good use case for ambient IoT. Here's another use case for device activation and deactivation. There are two rows. There's a top row picture and the lower row image. Let's take a look at the top row device activation first. On the left, we see a figure representing an authorized user or a third party who initiates the activation process. In the center, there's an icon representing the network operator, which acts as an intermediary. On the right, we see the ambient IoT device with icons indicating it's powered on and able to communicate. The green check mark between the network operator and the device indicates a successful activation. Now, device activation on the bottom row. Again, we see the figure representing the entity initiating the deactivation process. The network operator is shown in the middle, facilitating the deactivation. The ambient IoT devices, shown with icons indicating it's powered off and unable to transmit. The red X or cross, the mark of a cross, between the network operator and the device indicates that communication has been disabled. The key points to emphasize on this about this process is that it provides remote control. It is secure because this process ensures only authorized entities can control the device's operational state, which enhances security and privacy. Energy management, regulatory compliance. This feature allows for devices to be quickly disabled if needed, which could be important for regulatory or emergency situations. This illustrates flexible operation, and you're using network resources in an optimized way. This is also an essential feature for managing the life cycle of ambient IoT devices, allowing for easy commissioning and decommissioning. It empowers users or authorized third parties to have control over the device's operational status. So this activation-deactivation mechanism is quite crucial for ambient IoT devices because they don't have traditional power switches or user interfaces. It provides a necessary level of control and management for these energy harvesting devices, ensuring they can be effectively integrated into existing network infrastructures while maintaining security and efficiency. Museums are treasure troves of knowledge, but they often struggle with providing personalized, engaging experience to visitors. Ambient IoT technology offers a revolutionary solution. Imagine tiny self-powered beacons attached to every exhibit, communicating with visitors' smartphones to provide a customized tour experience. A lot of museums are doing this today already. They can enhance that feature though. The technical challenges are also just as fascinating. We need centimeter-level indoor positioning accuracy to distinguish between closely spaced exhibits. This likely means combining technologies like Bluetooth, low energy for communication with ultra-wideband for precise positioning. The energy harvesting aspect is particularly interesting in a museum environment. Can we harvest energy from the lighting used to illuminate exhibits? Or perhaps from the vibrations of footsteps in busy galleries? The content delivering system is another crucial component. We need edge computing solutions to deliver personalized content with low latency, for sure, adapting to the visitor's interests, language, and pace of exploration. Privacy is a major concern. We need to ensure that the system doesn't track visitors' movements, doesn't track visitors' movements more than necessary. The potential benefits are enormous. Museums can offer truly interactive, multi-language experiences without cluttering exhibits with physical signs. They could gather valuable data on visitor behavior to optimize exhibit layouts and educational programs. This use case showcases how ambient IoT can enhance cultural experiences and education in ways we've only begun to imagine. So here's a picture about the museum guide. At the top left, we see a cloud icon representing the application server. This server likely hosts the museum guide application and processes data from the ambient IoT devices. Below the application server, there's a cellular tower icon representing the communication infrastructure that connects the various elements of the system. Two framed artworks are shown. Rhine, likely a landscape painting, and sunflowers, presumably a Van Gogh painting, I think. Each artwork has an associated ambient IoT device. Small rectangles near each artwork represent ambient IoT devices. These devices are powered by ambient energy in the museum environment and can communicate information about the artwork. A cartoon character, a cartoon figure of a person with a smartphone represents a museum visitor using the guide application. Blue arrows, labeled ranging, connect the visitor's smartphone to the ambient IoT devices, indicating that the phone is determining its proximity to each artwork. A small call-out near the visitor shows a list including number 1, Rhine, number 2, sunflowers, representing the nearby artworks detected by the application. So the key points to emphasize about this use case is we are harvesting energy, likely RF energy from Wi-Fi, cellular signals, or dedicated power beacons. We're doing proximity detection. The visitor's smartphone can determine which artworks are nearby through ranging techniques, possibly using Bluetooth Low Energy or similar short-range communication. This is an interactive experience for the visitors. As they approach different artworks, their smartphones can automatically display relevant information, creating an interactive and personalized museum experience. This system can easily scale to cover large museums with numerous artworks, as the ambient IoT devices don't require wiring or battery replacements. So scalability is not a hard nut to crack in this case. The connection to the application server allows for real-time updates to artwork information and tracking of visitor interactions. It's quite low maintenance. As you know, the use of ambient-powered devices reduces the need for regular maintenance compared to battery-powered alternatives. Very low maintenance. And this is a non-intrusive technology. The small wireless nature of the ambient IoT devices allows for technology integration without compromising the aesthetics of the museum space. And this system could provide valuable data on visitor behavior and preferences, helping museum curators optimize exhibits and layouts. And of course, you get multilingual support. So this is a good use case to showcase the potential for creating smart environments in general that are both informative and energy efficient, leveraging existing infrastructure to power a network of intelligent, responsive devices. This is a very interesting slide showing a pressure-powered switch. Nothing but one single pressure-powered switch, which is a key component in the ambient IoT ecosystem. Let me explain a little bit here. The image shows a simple, white, rectangular device with a circular button or sensor in the center. Its clean, minimalist design suggests it's meant to be unobtrusive and easily integrated into various environments. As far as functionality goes, this is a pressure-powered switch, meaning it generates its own power when pressed. It doesn't require batteries or an external power source to operate. Very cool. When the button is pressed, it likely uses piezoelectric or electromagnetic principles to convert the mechanical energy of the press into electrical energy. This harvested energy is then used to power the switch's communication capabilities. In the context of ambient IoT, this switch represents a category of devices that can operate without batteries or wired power connections, aligning with the core principle of ambient powered devices. Oh, there are many applications for this, for such switches. For example, in smart home controls, for example, light switches, doorbell buttons. You press it and it actually uses the energy of your press to power its functionality. What else? Industrial control systems, energy or alert systems in buildings, or user interface elements in energy-constrained environments. They're maintenance-free, they're environmentally friendly, they can be placed anywhere, flexible placement, and their longevity, potentially longer lifespan than battery-powered devices for sure. And you can easily integrate with IoT systems. When pressed, this switch could generate enough power to send a wireless signal to a nearby IoT hub or directly to a cloud service, triggering predefined actions or alerts. But there are challenges. It generates limited energy. The communication range is not that far. As far as the user experience, the switch may require more forceful presses than a traditional powered switches to generate sufficient energy. You have to press it harder than a slight touch. But it has a lot of potential. As future harvesting technologies improve, we might see more sophisticated versions of these switches with additional functionalities, such as environmental sensing or displays, all powered by the act of pressing. Next, let's take a hayride into the future of farming. Welcome to the ambient IoT in agriculture, where we're turning fields into smart homes for crops. Picture this again for me. An army of tiny self-powered sensors. Oops. I skipped a slide, and I apologize because I can't go back there to look at what that slide is all about. But it was a use case that could be repeated in the following use cases. So I am going to jump to this one. This is a use case that is about a traffic scenario for a flower auction. So we're not missing much. There are several use cases that we're enumerating here, and these are all demonstrative of how we can use ambient IoT devices. So let's talk about this one. The Dutch flower auctions are a marvel of logistics, handling millions of flowers daily with incredible efficiency. Ambient IoT technology could take this system to the next level. Imagine every container of flowers tagged with a tiny self-powered sensor. These tags could track location, monitor temperature and humidity, and even detect ethylene levels. A gas that accelerates flower aging, and we don't want that. The technical challenges here are quite immense. We're looking at an incredibly dense deployment, up to 1.3 million containers per square kilometer. So this is about Dutch flower auction, where there are lots of tulips, I guess, and lots of other kinds of flowers, not just tulips. So this raises significant issues with interference and collision avoidance in wireless communications. We need to develop sophisticated protocols that can handle this density while still providing real-time updates. The energy harvesting aspect is intriguing. Could we harvest energy from the vibrations of the auction floor or the temperature differentials in the cold storage areas? Since the potential benefits are so significant, we want to take a look at it. There's real-time tracking, which could optimize the flow of containers through the auction process. Environmental monitoring that could ensure optimal conditions are maintained throughout the supply chain. Reducing waste. The system could even predict vast life based on the conditions each batch of flowers have experienced, helping buyers make more informed decisions. This use case demonstrates how ambient IoT can revolutionize even the most efficiently run logistics operations. Another traffic scenario on dairy farming, dairy staple. Modern dairy farming is a high-tech operation, and ambient IoT could push it even further into the future. Imagine every cow in a large dairy herd equipped with a tiny self-powered sensor. These devices could monitor vital signs, track movement patterns, detect early signs of illness, and even predict optimal milking times. The technical challenges are there as well. We need devices that can withstand the harsh environment of a dairy farm, exposure to moisture, potential physical impacts, and even the cow's own digestive processes in the case of swallowable sensors. The cow may swallow it, the ambient IoT device. The energy harvesting techniques here are fascinating. Could we harvest energy from the cow's movement or even from temperature differentials between the cow's body and the environment? The communication challenges are substantial, especially for large herds. We need to reliably collect data from hundreds or thousands of cows, potentially spread over large grazing areas. This might involve a tiered approach, with low-power communications for individual sensors feeding into more powerful local hubs. The potential impact is enormous. Real-time health monitoring could detect illnesses earlier, improving animal welfare and reducing the need for antibiotics. Behavioral analysis could optimize feeding strategies and detect estrus cycles for breeding. This level of individual animal monitoring could significantly increase the efficiency and sustainability of dairy operations. Next up, welcome to the retail revolution. We're about to turn your average store into a sci-fi shopping extravaganza, where electronic shelf labels are powered by ambient IoT. Imagine a world where price tags are smarter than some shoppers. No offense, Karen. Picture this again for me. Every price tag in the store is secretly a tiny self-powered computer. It's like Night at the Museum, but instead of exhibits coming to life, it's the price tags throwing a digital party. These little brainiacs can update prices faster than you can say clearance sale and dish out product information like a chatty store clerk. Now let's talk about the technical hurdles though. Because who doesn't love a good challenge? We need displays that can change without guzzling power. Think e-ink on a diet. And for juice, we're going full MacGyver here. Can we power these mini marvels with just the light in the store, or maybe the RF waves floating around? It's like trying to run a car on compliments. Tricky, but also satisfying if we can pull it off. Again, communication is our next Everest. In a big store, we're dealing with more devices than a child's Christmas list. We need these labels to update faster than gossip spreads in a small town. It's not just about it looking pretty. These labels need to be the store's digital backbone, flexing with inventory faster than you can say supply chain. The perks? Oh boy, where do we start? Dynamic pricing that changes quicker than a chameleon in a disco. Product information galore without turning shelves into a paper jungle. And the cherry on top? These smart tags could chat with your smartphone, turning your shopping trip into a high-tech treasure hunt. How's that sound? This, my friends, is how we're transforming retail from mundane to Marvel movie level exciting. It's shopping, but make it futuristic. Welcome to the store of tomorrow, where even the price tags are living in 3023 or 3024. As we consolidate the requirements for ambient IoT communication, we're faced with some fascinating challenges. We need to support a variety of communication modes. Direct network communication for devices in good coverage areas, indirect communication through relay devices for more challenging environments, and device-to-UE communication for scenarios like personal item finding. The group communication support is crucial for efficiency in many use cases. Imagine updating prices across an entire supermarket or triggering a sensor reading from every plant in a greenhouse. We need efficient broadcasting and multicasting mechanisms to make this feasible within our tight energy constraints. The authorization mechanisms are a critical security feature. We need to ensure that only authorized devices can communicate with our ambient IoT sensors, preventing unauthorized access for all data interception. This is particularly challenging given the limited computational resources available on these ultra-low power devices. We are really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in low-power wireless communication, and the solutions we develop here could have far-reaching implications beyond just ambient IoT. Positioning is a crucial capability for many ambient IoT applications, but it presents unique challenges in this ultra-low power context. We need to support both absolute positioning, that is to know exactly where a device is in the world, and relative positioning, which might be sufficient and more energy efficient for many applications. The integration with existing positioning infrastructure is key. We can't afford to reinvent the wheel, so our ambient IoT devices need to work with existing 5G positioning features and GNSS systems where available. The energy efficiency aspect is perhaps the most challenging. Traditional GNSS receivers are power hungry, so we need to develop new ultra-low power positioning techniques. This might involve clever use of duty cycling, where devices only check the position periodically, or cooperative positioning schemes where devices share information to reduce individual power consumption. We're really at the forefront of low power positioning technology, and the innovations we develop could have implications far beyond ambient IoT. Managing a vast network of ambient IoT devices presents unique challenges. We need robust mechanisms for remote configuration and updates. Imagine trying to change the behavior of millions of sensors spread across a city or agricultural region. The status monitoring and health checks are crucial. With devices designed to operate for years or even decades, we need ways to verify they're still functioning correctly. The life cycle management aspect is particularly interesting. How do we handle the activation of new devices, potentially in bulk, for large-scale deployments? And at the end of life, how do we ensure devices are properly decommissioned, with any sensitive data securely erased? First, the RF signal transmission control is a critical feature, both for energy saving and regulatory compliance. We need the ability to remotely enable or disable transmission and even permanently deactivate devices if necessary. The cross-network and international operational requirement highlights the global nature of IoT. Our devices might be manufactured in one country, deployed in another, and then moved to yet another. We need to ensure they can adapt to different regulatory environments and network standards seamlessly. It's quite a tall order. This level of flexible, long-term device management is unprecedented in the IoT world, and the solutions we develop could set new standards for the industry. Now put on your thinking caps, because we're about to dive into the wild, wacky world of ambient IoT data. It's like trying to herd cats, but the cats are invisible, powered by pixie dust, and really, really chatty. First up on our magical mystery tour, data retrieval. We're playing a high-stakes game of operation. We need to grab that data without waking up our sleepy little senses. It's like trying to sneak cookies from the jar without alerting mom. Tricky, but oh so rewarding. To save energy, we might just become data matchmakers, setting up sensor speed dating sessions to share information before sending it off. Or we could use edge computing, which is like having a really smart butler who only tells you the important stuff instead of gossiping about every little thing. Now let's talk privacy. We're not running a gossip column here, people. We need to keep this data locked up tighter than a teenager's diary. Only the cool kids, aka authorized parties, get to see the juicy bits. And even then, we'll be slapping on some digital sunglasses and fake mustaches to keep things anonymous. But wait, there's more. We're opening up a whole new world of possibilities for third-party services. It's like we're hosting a hottest party in town and everyone wants an invitation. But don't worry, we've got bouncers, robust APIs, and access controls to keep out the riffraff. And for our grand finale, network capability exposure, we're creating a new layer of network intelligence that's so smart it makes Einstein look like he's still in kindergarten. Third-party apps will be able to tango with our ambient IoT devices in ways that will make your head spin. It's like giving apps superpowers, but with great power comes great responsibility. Again, I have to follow it by saying thanks, Spider-Man. So there you have it. We're not just collecting data, we're revolutionizing the IoT landscape. It's like we're writing the Constitution for the United States of IoT. Now, who's ready to make some history? Charging and billing for ambient IoT services present some unique challenges. Traditional per-device charging models might not be practical when we're dealing with massive deployments of ultra-low power devices. We need flexible models that can handle everything from individual high-value sensors to massive groups of simple devices. The group-based charging for large deployments is particularly interesting. Imagine a smart city deployment with millions of sensors. Individually billing for each device would be a nightmare. We need ways to aggregate charging data efficiently. The usage-based and subscription-based model offer flexibility, but they also present challenges. How do we accurately measure usage for devices that might only transmit a few bits of data per day? The efficient charging data collection requirement is crucial. We can't afford to use more energy collecting charging data than the devices themselves use of their primary functions, right? This might lead to innovative approaches like probabilistic charging models or charging based on aggregate network usage rather than individual device actions. We're really reimagining how IoT services are monetized. And the models we develop here could have implications for the broader telecom industry. Security and privacy are paramount, always, in any IoT deployment. But ambient IoT presents unique challenges. We're dealing with devices that have extremely limited computational resources, making traditional security protocols impractical. We need to develop new, lightweight cryptographic protocols that can provide robust security with minimal energy consumption. The privacy protection mechanisms are crucial, especially for applications like personal item tracking or health monitoring. We need ways to encrypt device identities and location information that are secure yet computationally feasible for our ultra-low power devices. The ambient IoT-specific security features are fascinating from a technical perspective. Secure boot and attestation for devices that might power cycle frequently due to energy constraints present interesting challenges. Interesting is synonymous to difficult challenges. But we have lots of people working on them, on these challenges, and try to resolve them, overcome them. We need integrity protection mechanisms as well that can work with intermittent communications. How do we ensure the authenticity of a message from a device that might have been dormant for months? The authorization and authentication requirements highlight the need for context-aware security. A sensor in a public space might have different security needs than one in a private home or a sensitive industrial setting. We're really pushing the boundaries of what's possible in resource-constrained security, and the solutions we develop here could have, again, applications in many other fields, like secure IoT for space exploration or deep-sea monitoring. The KPIs for inventory scenarios highlight the unique challenges of ambient IoT in logistics applications. We have a lot of KPIs, metrics, tables on the 3GPP specification itself. Please go onto the specification and look for these KPI numbers if you are implementing solutions. This presentation does not include any of the KPI tables, but they are very relevant if you are implementing a solution. So what we're talking about here are some examples, key examples to tell you what's on the specification. So this particular one shows KPIs for inventory scenarios. Not the numbers, but what these KPIs are for. The latency requirements of seconds level responsiveness might seem relaxed compared to some real-time applications, but achieving this consistently with ultra-low power devices is no small feat. The 99% communication service availability is crucial for reliable inventory management. Imagine trying to track thousands of items with 1 in 100 randomly going missing. The user-experienced data rate of less than 2 kilobits per second reflects the minimal data needs of most inventory applications. We're often just transmitting an ID and maybe a few sensor readings. The message size of 94 over 256 bits is fascinating. We're really packing a lot of information into very small packets. This requires clever encoding schemes to maximize the utility of each bit. The device density of up to 1.5 million per kilometer square indoors is staggering. This is far beyond what most current wireless protocols can handle reliably. We'll need innovative approaches to medium access control and interference management. The communication range requirements show the need for flexibility. 30 to 50 meters indoor for dense warehouse environments, but up to 400 meters outdoor for larger logistics yachts. Achieving this range with ultra-low power devices is a significant challenge, likely requiring cooperative communication strategies or novel antenna designs, which we may not have at the moment. Here's another KPIs example for indoor scenarios. This is an indoor sensor data collection scenario that revealed the diverse requirements of different applications. The max allowed end-to-end latency of 20 to 30 seconds for many applications shows that real-time responsiveness isn't always necessary. This allows for more flexible, energy-efficient communication strategies. However, the 99% communication service availability is crucial for reliable monitoring. The user experience data rate of less than 1 kilobits per second reflects the small amount of data typically generated by environmental sensors. The wide range in message size from less than 100 bits to less than 1,000 bits shows the diversity of sensor types we're dealing with, from simple temperature sensors to more complex multi-parameter devices. The device density ranges from 1.5 meters square for dense deployments like smart home sensors down to 1 per meter square for larger industrial spaces. This variety in density requires flexible networking protocols that can adapt to different deployment scenarios. The indoor communication range of 10 to 200 meters presents interesting challenges, especially at the higher end. Achieving 200 meters range indoors with ultra-low power devices will require innovative approaches to signal propagation and maybe even cooperative communication strategies. This one is for outdoor scenario and data collection. The KPIs present a different set of challenges compared to indoor environments. The wide range in max allowed end-to-end latency from 1 second for critical applications to more than 10 seconds for less time-sensitive monitoring shows the diversity of outdoor use cases. The 99% communication service availability requirement remains consistent, highlighting the importance of reliable data collection even in challenging outdoor environments. The user experience data rate of less than 1 kilobits per second is similar to indoor scenarios, reflecting the generally low data needs of environmental sensors. The typical message size of less than 100 bytes allows for more detailed sensor readings or multiple parameters in a single transmission. The device density varies significantly, from less than 5,200 devices kilometer square for some agricultural applications to less than 10,000 kilometers square for denser urban deployments. This wide range requires flexible networking protocols that can scale effectively. The outdoor communication range of 50 to 500 meters is particularly challenging for ultra-low power devices. Achieving this range while maintaining energy efficiency will likely require innovative antenna designs, smart power management, and possibly cooperative communication strategies. These KPIs really highlight the unique challenges of deploying ambient IoT. Here's another KPIs set for tracking scenarios, and they review the unique challenges again for ambient IoTs, especially for real-time location services. The max allowed end-to-end latency of 1 second is quite demanding for ultra low power devices, especially when we consider the energy cost of frequent precision updates. The 99.9% communication service availability is crucial for reliable tracking. Losing contact with a tracked asset, even for 0.1% of the time, could be problematic in many applications. The user experienced data rate of less than 1 kilobits per second reflects the minimal data needs for most tracking applications. We're often just transmitting location coordinates and maybe a device ID. That's all. The message size of less than 1 kilobits allows for more detailed information, perhaps including sensor data along with location. The device density varies significantly between indoor and outdoor scenarios, from 25 over 100 meters square indoors to less than 10 per 100 meters square outdoors. This variation requires flexible protocols that adapt to different deployment densities. The positioning accuracy requirements are particularly interesting. 1 to 3 meters indoors is quite challenging and may require sophisticated indoor positioning techniques, while several 10-meter outdoors might be achievable with simpler GNSS-based solutions. Balancing these accuracy requirements with the energy constraints of ambient IoT devices will be a key challenge. Here's another example, the KPIs for actuator control scenarios that highlight the unique requirements of using ambient IoT not just for sensing, but for actually affecting the physical world. The max allowed end-to-end latency of several seconds is more relaxed than for tracking scenarios, reflecting the less time-critical nature of many control applications. However, the 99% communication service availability remains crucial. Unreliable control could lead to serious issues in many applications. The user-experienced data rate of up to 2 kilobits per second is higher than for many sensing scenarios, reflecting the potential need for more complex control commands. The message size varies from less than 100 bytes to 128 bits, depending on the complexity of the control signals required. The device density for indoor scenarios can be incredibly high, up to 1.5 million kilometers square, presenting significant challenges for reliable communication in such dense deployments. The communication range varies widely, from 50 meters indoors to 500 meters outdoors, requiring flexible and adaptive communication strategies. These KPIs really underscore the challenges of using ultra-low power ambient IoT devices not just for passive sensing, but for active control of systems. All right, conclusions and recommendations. As we conclude our exploration of ambient IoT, it's clear that we're on the cusp of revolutionary change in how we interact with the world around us. The key findings from this study highlight the immense potential of ultra-low power energy harvesting devices to create a truly ubiquitous sensing and control infrastructure. We've identified critical areas for standardization, including energy-efficient communication protocols, lightweight security mechanisms, and flexible network architectures that can support the unique needs of ambient IoT deployments. Our recommendations for future work include deeper exploration of energy harvesting techniques, development of more sophisticated power management strategies, and investigation of novel applications that could be enabled by long-lived, maintenance-free IoT devices. The potential impact on 5G and beyond networks is significant. ambient IoT could drive the development of new network services specifically designed to support massive deployments of ultra-low power devices. As we move forward, it's crucial that we continue to balance the exciting possibilities of this technology with careful consideration of security, privacy, and ethical implications. The future of IoT is ambient, and it's our responsibility to shape the future in a way that benefits society as a whole. So this is an annex overview. I added this so that the viewer here will have a inclusive knowledge of everything that is on this specification. The annexes of this report provide crucial additional context and technical depth to our study of ambient IoT. You may want to go through them. Annex A delves into the various scenarios for ambient IoT availability, helping us understand the different ways these devices might interact with networks and energy sources. Annex B provides a deep dive into ambient power and storage and energy storage techniques, which are fundamental to the operation of these devices. Annex C offers valuable insights into the considerations of choosing energy harvesting sources, a critical decision in the design of any ambient IoT system. Finally, Annex D provides a change history, allowing us to track the evolution of this specification if you're interested to find about that. So these annexes are not just supplementary here on this document as supplementary material. They're essential reading for anyone looking to truly understand the technical foundations and practical implications of ambient IoT technology, especially if you need to implement solutions. You may want to go through the annexes. And so I am going to skip over the next 3 slides, which essentially list what you can find in Annex A, B, C, and D. A, B, and C. A and B and C. You can freeze the slides to read about them if you'd like. Feel free to do so. And then you can come back. I'm going to jump over Annex A, Annex B, and Annex C. And finally, we are at the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next 3GPP presentation. Goodbye.